So, yeah, so we were out running around. This is a couple of weeks ago. It's on a Sunday,
Hmm.
and Shelby, hey, is the Halloween store open yet? Because we look forward to that. Spooky time of year is we love it. So, just for the record, Dollywood up here, the theme park, does
Yeah,
Halloween right. They got the smoke in the
really.
park, the lights. They do it really good. So we're out, we're walking around through the Halloween store, and then we get to the part, we're looking at costumes and things like that. And one of them, we start coming as a whole wall of pictures.
Okay.
And, there's all kinds of cool pictures up there. But there's one particular that stood out to me. That's, you could say it spoke to me a
It
little
spoke
bit.
to you. Said hello.
Spoke to me just a little bit. Just want to say,
Did it say
hello, Chris.
brave
And
Chris?
yeah,
How those
so
lambs scream?
yeah, so Dr. Lecter will be joining us now. So I said I had to have that, and then I
Absolutely.
told Natasha, I was like, hey, I'm going to save this for the October first show in October, and then he'll be with us
Perfect.
through the whole month of October, and except for next week, of course, because we'll be up at your place. But
Yeah, right.
um,
You can bring him
but
with, I
for
suppose.
I guess I could. I mean, he travels. He's a world
He
traveler.
travels. He travels like a
Uh,
defense. He travels.
yes, he does. He travels. He gives kids brains on airplanes. If you've seen that,
Sure.
if you've seen
Yes.
that.
Right.
So,
Yes.
there's I don't see anything wrong with
He's
maybe bringing him. Maybe we'll make an
no.
appearance. Maybe we'll put him in the background so people have to find him.
He's a very cultured man, so
He
it
sure
seems
is.
seems reasonable.
He likes his fava beans and Chiantis. So,
Right.
so he'll be joining this guy.
Oh,
He's a jokester.
oh,
This guy.
oh, Hannibal, you silly goose, you. Where's James Gum at? Mr. Muffet. Oh, well, folks, Halloween stores pop up everywhere, and vacant, Macy's stores and those kinds of places. Perhaps there's one in Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania, after Penn State blew another game to Oregon under James Franklin. Perhaps there's one in Jerry World in Dallas, Texas, where the Cowboys are, a chronic disappointment, if you will, to their fans. Any other places that you think a Halloween store would be great, like a Spirit Halloween?
Spirit Halloween. Well,
Yeah.
there's a number of places. I know there's probably a lot of them popping up in Gainesville, Florida, right about now.
Yes. Yes. In fact, the
And this,
swamp,
yeah,
perhaps
and
even after this weekend.
they've got this guy behind me, Dr. Lecter, but he's in jorts.
Yes, right.
He's probably
Jorts
never
and
wore
tank
jorts in his
top.
life. He's in
No,
jorts and a tank top.
that white T-shirt is a white tank top, ripped tank top, with some beans stain or blood, perhaps, I suppose. But
And it says R Napier, F-U-R, R Napier
right.
on the front.
Yeah, I love
One
Billy on the
diesel in
back.
one hand. Yep.
Oh, yeah, he's a Hurricanes. He's got a Hurricanes wristband. He's a Hurricane at heart, right? He wants to live in West Palm and Miami Gardens. So, all right, folks. Well, this is the intro to Helafino podcast. We just spent the first couple minutes discussing, Halloween stores. I know that's a big thing because you have a young child who still loves to do trick or treating, that kind of thing. So, I think that, I think I'm glad Dr. Lecter is available to hang out with us for the month. And let's see if he has any ideas, any picks along the way, because hell if we know, hell if he knows, maybe he has some insight and on some betting lines or some over-unders or just some money line ideas. And he couldn't do any worse, really, than we do. So
Yeah, it has to be an upgrade.
Yeah,
The
right.
bar's not high for Dr. Lecter, so
No, it is not.
it can
Right.
only go up.
Yes. What is the island he was promised to? Let's see. I forget what the island was. He was told he could go swimming in it, but I think that was a farce. Clarice pulled a fast one on him, and he knew it. Okay, enough about the 24-year-old movie.
Yeah, I should have watched it before we came on. That way. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Dr. Lecter is a serial killer that eats people and feeds people to other people. Sorry if I spoiled it for you, but you should have watched it already. Anyway. All right, let's get right into it. Top of the telecast at 11. Of course, the games are listed as Central Time because I'm Central Time, and Wisconsin. Chris, and I'm Brian, by the way. This is Chris. We're Health We Know podcast. Chris is in Eastern time, so we'll talk about Eastern time games, time zones, so just easier for everybody. The noon kickoff for in West Lafayette, Indiana, which is one of the most depressing places I've ever stayed at in my life. On the way to your house, right, or maybe the way back from your house. I'm sure Ross-Ade is a beautiful stadium. I mean, spare no expense to what they spend there. But this weekend, Illinois is going to have a scrimmage in Ross-Ade Stadium. You talk about a team that's just Jekyll and Hyde, I guess. Lecter and whoever's alter ego might be. Illinois goes to Bloomington, Indiana, gets 63 put on them. The next week, they basically control the game against a very talented USC team that came into Champaign, Illinois. So I anticipate Illinois winning that game and covering that 9.5 probably pretty easily. Purdue's not a good football team right now, especially on defense. I don't anticipate they're going to be able to hang with Illinois very long. And maybe this Indiana game was more like, okay, well, we're getting beat and it just snowballed. The next thing you know, they're giving up touchdowns. We get a punt blocked, and Indiana's hitting big plays. So sometimes that happens, even to good teams, right? We saw Ohio State back in 2017 going to Ross-Ade Stadium, in fact, and Purdue put up 55 points on them. And they did the same thing a year before that against in Iowa City, and that's when Urban Meyer was the coach. So these things do happen, even if you're Burt Bielema. Do you anticipate the Illinois probably cruises this game as well?
For sure. But one could say they may carve up Purdue.
That's right.
You may say that.
Yes.
After being eaten a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Go ahead and brace yourselves, folks, for the puns and the
right.
slight homages. Just go ahead and get ready for it all show. So
either you enjoy it or you're going to turn it off. Those are two options.
Either way. So, but in all seriousness, Illinois, Jekyll and Hyde, that's a great way to put it. I think you're right. I think they played that Indiana game, and momentum's a real thing in college football.
Sure is. College sports in general. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's like a snowball. Once it gets rolling downhill, it just becomes bigger, and you can't do anything with it. So, and that might have showed Illinois, especially Illinois players, that this is the level we have to play at to compete.
That's
if
right.
we want to go where we want to go. And
Absolutely.
maybe they had a mindset coming into that game with Indiana that this is what we can need, this is what we can do and compete. And then they found out really quickly, no, there's another level to this we need to get to. And they got to it at USC, they'll get to it at Purdue. I mean, now that they kind of course corrected a little bit, that 9.5 seems really, really low to me.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, is that
plus,
real? It should be 19.5.
Right. I think Illinois rolls. I think they know who they are now. I think that's a ton of confidence coming off last week's win. I think they roll right on through West Lafayette and just keep on trucking. I don't see Purdue doing anything to slow those guys down.
I know it's a road game. No, exactly. They come in locked in. They seem to be healthier in the secondary. Offensive line maybe putting things together a little bit. I mean, people forget, and it's weird to say, I know, but Indiana has a really, really good defensive line. And when you can control the line of scrimmage on offense and defense, you may not put 63 points up like Indiana did, but you're going to control the ball game, and things happen from there. So I anticipate Illinois will look much better on both sides of the ball against Purdue and continue their winning ways. They go back on track after really a big win against USC. They kind of showed who they are, and also maybe like who USC might really be, because this is USC's first real test, and they kind of came out pretty flat, kind of laid an egg a little bit for kind of like, Maeva is probably a future NFL quarterback. We know Lemon is absolutely a NFL wide receiver. He's got the body type, the hands, everything. They have good skill guys, run the ball. It turns out maybe their defense is maybe who we thought they were, kind of to steal from Dennis Green. They're okay, but they're still quite a ways away
to go
from
right.
being, they got a ways to go. And especially, offensive line as well, like maybe run the ball. They've been doing better, but maybe not quite as well as we thought they were against the first few teams they played. So, Illinois wins that, covers that spread. We don't have to talk a lot about this one, but I think this is a game where Iowa State has to be careful. This is a solid Cincinnati team that they have to travel to. You got a guy named Rocco. He has confidence in him, but it's a noon kick. Iowa State's sort of on the edge of people paying attention to them because they're Big 12, and Big 12 is like one team, basically one big team. It's hard to just separate these teams because they're all so similar. They may play different styles, but they all like seemingly are basically the same team. And Iowa State just doesn't get the kind of run. They don't have the kind of skill guys that Ohio State does, or Alabama does, or a defensive lineman that a Georgia does. But they're very well coached. Matt Campbell's established himself as a very, very good coach. Who we keep saying this every year, who will probably move on at some point to take an Alabama kind of job. But maybe he's just content to be in Iowa State
Big fish,
forever.
little pond, in my opinion.
I
I
I
I
guess,
don't want
right?
to see him at Florida. I can tell you that.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, the expectations are reasonable there, right? They know who they are. They never won a Big 12. They know that they can compete with some teams like the Baylors and the Kansas States and even the Kansas has been better in the last few years under Lance Leopold. But I, Cincinnati can run the ball a little bit. They showed that against Nebraska on that first game when they're in Kansas City when they played that game. Uh, I think this game's. I don't know. Like they got Cincinnati, my favorite one, 1.5.
Somebody knows something.
Someone knows something, right? I mean, again, that's this kind of games are kind of not high on our radar, but I do wonder because while Cincinnati's played better, Iowa State's looked pretty good. They're solid on both sides of the ball. Maybe this is a place where they're like, okay, game 6, we kind of know who you are. We scouted you. We know you're not loaded with superstars. You could be right for an upset. Maybe that's what the Sharps are thinking here.
Yeah, for sure. I almost want to pick Cincinnati. I
I do
almost
too.
do. I'm so
Right.
close. It's hard not to trust Matt Campbell, like you said at right now because he's really got him. But this is a game that's losable. It
Absolutely.
really is. Cincinnati's good. They're at home. If this game was at night, I'd pick them. I'd pick
Yes.
Cincinnati straight away. 11 o'clock a.m. I'd or 12 noon, I guess, where they're going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, but yeah, I'm like you. I want to pick them. I'm still going to pick Iowa State to get it done because I do would take the under the 54 and a half. Give me the under
Yes.
on that.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I'll take Iowa State. I just trust Matt Campbell, and I think they're good enough to go in there and get a win. Although I think it's going to be hard fought, and I do
Yes.
think Cincinnati does do some damage. But yeah, Iowa State just close in the 20s.
Yeah.
Not a fun game maybe to watch, but yeah,
Right.
give me Iowa State.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, that a 1.5 is a pretty small number, right? If you win 27-25 or, something like that. I'm with you. I think Iowa State wins this game, but it's close wire to wire. I don't think there's going to be any sort of running away from anything. And they're just not talented enough to do that without Cincinnati turned the ball over a bunch of times or in short fields, that kind of thing. So
Well, Iowa State's got to play clean ball too. Like they got to
they
go
do.
in there and
Absolutely.
play clean football. No turnovers, no
Right.
pick sixes, no scoop scores. You can't do anything to give Cincinnati a leg up because you'll leave with a nail for sure.
Right. They're not really built to, kind of run a spread thing. They're very well schooled. Uh, they're disciplined, right? They tackle well. They fundamentally sound. Again, they're not filled with skill guys like Jeremiah Smith that are going to go out there and just beat you. They will beat you, physically and mentally, in that they will not typically make mistakes, and that's a good coach football team, right? That's as much as you can ask for especially for what the kind of recruits you can, realistically get in Ames, Iowa. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, NIL or not, Ames, Iowa is not a destination any more than like, maybe Syracuse or something like that.
Right. Nowhere
So,
you want to spend the winter for sure.
no, absolutely not.
Not in that place.
No, absolutely not. So, all right. Well, Kentucky travels to Athens. This is a get right game for Georgia after the Alabama loss. Kentucky has proven to be, I think, and I think you would agree, a pretty poor football team. I don't know. This is the worst game Stoops or team Stoops have had, but they're not really able to compete, and especially at this level. I've Georgia, you know, they're going to be angry. They're going to be wanting to get right. They're going to want to say, look, we have no more margin for error. We're sure as hell not going to lose to Kentucky at home um, in early in the conference play. So that 20.5 is probably that's probably safe, and I anticipate Georgia just trying to get right, put some points on the board, and they may cover that 48.5,
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, because Kentucky's not going to help out. They're not
No,
good on offense. This
no,
is Kentucky cycling down. You know how we
sure,
talked last week about teams that um, get kids, get players, and they cycle up and they're really good when they're good, but then they cycle back down and they're 6-6, 7-5, and that's Kentucky. That's Kentucky football. Now, Mark Stoops is a good. I think he's a good football coach. I
absolutely
just
is
I just don't think they got enough people in the portal, and they lost all their good
right.
players. Barian Brown for Kentucky is now playing at LSU, so they lost him. So they just all their skill guys are gone. They're not very good at quarterback. They're just not a like I said. There's not a very good football team. I
Mm-mm.
expect Georgia to uh, take a lot of bites out of them, bites out of them on Saturday, and I'm like you. I think they cover the 20.5, and I think the 48 hits 48.5 over because I think Georgia gets in the 40s by themselves, and Kentucky puts 10, 12, 10,
Yeah,
13 points,
but
14
so much
maybe,
big garbage, maybe, right?
and they backdoor get that over.
Yep, yep, I like that too. All right, Wisconsin, who is just maybe done winning for this season. If you look at their schedule, it's, they travel to Michigan this weekend, which we don't have to spend a lot of time on this either because this is a game that Michigan should cruise through. Although one thing I will say is that Wisconsin has yet to allow a 100-yard rusher so far in 4 games. That includes
That's going
playing
to
at
change.
Alabama. That might very well change. The problem for Wisconsin is people can throw all over them.
So why run it?
Selfishly, as a Michigan fan, I'm hoping they're trying to like stretch the field a little bit and work on some of the downfield passing, some of these intermediate passing and middle of the field passing to, some other guys. They're having some trouble with wide receivers kind of hang on the ball. They have some young kids, including a freshman named Andrew Marsh, that they really like, and you can see this kid's got some real talent. He's really smooth. He's about 6 foot 190, but he's made a lot of mental mistakes, some holding penalties, some like um, false starts, those kinds of things are like just you're in your head, like it's 18. This is all very fast. And he played a high competition down in Texas too, so this is a highly recruited kid. So maybe by this early in the season, he's had the bye week and has some time to play, and we'll see if they can get him going. But uh, Wisconsin, just as the team that they play, Iowa next, even that's at home, that's probably going to be an L. Then they play, Ohio State, and they play Washington, they play, um, uh, they play Penn. I mean, let's look at their schedule quick. It's brutal.
It is. It's
Even
murder's
if they
row. It
were
really is.
good season, I mean, then they got Oregon. Look at the schedule. We thought Florida had a tough schedule, which it is. But you go to Michigan, you get Iowa and Ohio State at home. You go to Eugene. That may be like, I don't know, like you'd pay $170 for that ticket because there's no reason for a Wisconsin fan to travel that. Washington at home at Indiana, who's obviously a very good team. Illinois will put a beating on them, and then at Minnesota for the Axe. I mean, like this is a solid Minnesota team, certainly better than Wisconsin is. So I think they're done winning. I think they won their first 2 games, and they're probably going to lose out. Now the only
2-10.
question is yeah, I suppose the Iowa game's out there, and maybe perhaps the Minnesota game, but even though it's on the road, uh, do they decide like we're going to pony up the money and fire Fickle? I mean, that's the only thing to talk about right now with Wisconsin. Are they moving on? Or are they going to give it another year? It's not a school that's been big spenders, generally speaking, but kind of like paying the IRS or your whatever, you got to pay that money sometimes. It hurts to write that check, but you got to do it if you want to move on in life. And this may be an opportunity for Wisconsin to say, "All right, let's just clean the change underneath the
What
car
year?
seat
What year is
cushions."
Fickle there? What
This
year is
is
he
only
in?
3.
Year
There's only
three.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you pull the
So
trigger. Three seems to me kind of quick, considering you can, if you play your cards right, spend a little money, and you hit the portal, and you actually hit on some guys, you can have a pretty decent football team pretty quickly. In any more, I would say, I think 5 years is probably the benchmark now. It should, in my opinion, it should be. Now that doesn't
right,
mean it is, but I think by
right,
year by year five, that's you know where your program's headed. That is all
right.
your kids now.
Yes.
That's all yours. You
Yep.
5 years, the whole cycle's come through. Even your fifth year seniors are gone now. So they may pull the trigger on him, and I mean no one can blame them because if they're 2-10 at worst,
Right.
maybe they
Yes.
go
Right. Yep.
maybe they go 4-8 maybe. If
Right.
they win those other two games, which I don't look for, if they
That
can
seems
split
unlikely.
Iowa and Minnesota, that'd be a huge win for them. So I don't know. If I was AD at Wisconsin, I would. It probably would depend on who I think I could get to come in there, and if it's a serious upgrade, and how serious am I about spending NIL money to try to have a good football team. So those are the questions they got to answer before they even think about pulling it. Because I think Fickle's. I mean, he's a good football coach. I mean, he came
He
from it.
absolutely is.
So it's just something like you said, like we said before, square peg round hole maybe,
Yeah.
and maybe he's just not a good fit, and they get rid of him. They find a Big Ten guy or something. I don't know, but that
Right.
they have to get serious about football and spending money and playing with the big boys before you can actually and building a roster that's quality enough to play with the big boys. Then you can make your decision as far as coaching.
And they made hay in the last 10, 15 years playing that Big Ten West, right? They're playing Iowa and Indiana and Illinois, whose teams are like this marginal teams, oftentimes in Minnesota. Whereas in the East, I mean, Wisconsin should have been a Big Ten title game often, right? And they were for a while. Then Nebraska comes along and puts a little bit of a fight up, but not enough. I think part of the problem with Wisconsin is that they brought in Fickle, who wanted to do an air raid thing, right? And that's not who they've been since Barry Alvarez took over in the early 90s. Their whole identity the last 30 years or so has been we're going to play a defense that's lights out. We're going to be physical along the line of scrimmage. We're going to run the ball with some, two-star, three-star running back from New Jersey. We're going to have competent, not amazing quarterback play, but competent quarterback play. And in fairness to Fickle, who was one a great player at Ohio State, two a great coach at Cincinnati. That's why he gets hired at Wisconsin. But he's not running and doing what Wisconsin fans are used to seeing. It's very similar to what Rich Rod did when he went to Michigan. We're like, dude, well, you need to run a ball, man. Like you're winning, you're putting some points on the board and 500 yards for Denard Robinson, but you're taking a bunch of L's and you look physically soft along the line of scrimmage. That's not what they're used to. So if you're Wisconsin, you want to get back to who's your identity. If you don't have an identity of program, then you're just going to be a floundering forever, right? And now with NIL, Wisconsin's not a big spender, and also you bring in big spenders such as Oregon, USC. Um, Perhaps Washington probably spends more than or
Probably.
equal to Wisconsin and talented. UCLA should, but they're just a whole another disaster. So not only did they just get rid of divisions, but they brought in more talented teams, bigger name programs. So Wisconsin's trying to just survive. And one other thing about Wisconsin, people maybe not realize is that they've had some they've had brought in quarterbacks that were probably serviceable, but they get injured every year, including this year with Billy Edwards. They've been going to this O'Neill kid who's okay as a backup, but he's not who you want starting. And so when you don't have your starting quarterback for maybe 3 years of your starting, I mean, this was just not going to go well for Fickle unless he had a super talented quarterback to get the ball out to their kind of okay to average skill guys. They don't have a Monty Ball in the backfield. Their
No,
offensive
Ron
line is
Dane.
just a step down. They're not a
Yeah,
Ron Dane's not coming
yeah.
to that door, right? So, I look. There's a guy named Jason Eck who's the coach at New Mexico, and he's a former Wisconsin lineman. He's doing really well in New Mexico. He put up a pretty good fight against Michigan this year. In fact, the first game of the season, um,
Beat the crap out of UCLA and Nico, which
beat the crap out
hurt
of
my
UCLA
heart.
Nico. Well,
Just hurt
exactly
my heart.
right.
It did.
So that's a guy that's an interesting maybe hire for them. Do they go back to? Do they recycle back to like, oh, Jim Leonard, we're sorry, we snubbed you. Are you interested still for any kind of job here?
It's a
They
real
need to make a home run higher because they're just going to flounder and turn into just an afterthought in this Big Ten that's quite expanded here.
and that coach will have to know that he is going in to rebuild this program
Yes,
now at this
right.
point, not just reload it.
No,
So, and that's a huge difference, and it's a huge undertaking, and you need years to do that. Now, I say you need years to do that as far as your culture and who you want to be as a football program. It don't take long to do it with the portal. So as long as you're willing to, like you said, spend the cash, are you going to spend the cash? Because if you're going to, and if you're a coach coming in, if I was a coach coming in there, how much are we going to spend to be like Ohio State and Oregon and
right.
Michigan and Washington and teams you actually want to compete with? Because until you get serious about spending money, nothing else matters. Not
Right.
nowadays.
Exactly. Absolutely. Or are you going to spend more money like Minnesota and Maryland? Is that more realistic for
Well,
them?
those are the
Maybe
first teams you got
so.
to reach. Yeah,
Maybe
I mean you got to
so.
get there
Right.
before you go up to
Right.
Ohio State and Michigan. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So, they can't rely on what they've done for the past 30 years right now. The whole landscape of sports and college football in particular, what we're talking about here, is just different. Like it or hate it, it's different, and you have to adapt to that. If you don't, you're going to be, lost in the woods forever. And Wisconsin's seriously looking like that at this point if they don't make some major changes, and that may include ponying up the 25 million or whatever the buyout is for him. Spend the money to make the money. I mean, your programs it looks like it's like this marriage is there's some serious marital discord, Wisconsin and Fickle, and it's okay. Like that sometimes happens. It's maybe time to move on. Just like Pete Carroll in Seattle, it was time to move on for everybody, right? And that's a maybe not a bad thing. Fickle will land on his feet somewhere. I mean, he could maybe get a DC job for a while, but he'll find another job that he can, kind of reset on. Because, like you said, he's a good football coach. I think he's a good football coach. Fundamentally, he's a good guy. Even though he's an Ohio State guy, I like him. I kind of pull for him. So I
Isn't
think
it
that they'll be
isn't
fine.
it funny? Isn't it funny how once you're in the fraternity of coaches, you never get really spit out unless you do something
No,
really. And case in point, Bobby Petrino.
that's exactly what I was
I
going to
mean,
go with.
once he's in the fraternity of coaches, that dude could do anything, and he has done a lot of stuff.
Yes,
And he still somehow or another lands an interim head coach job. And if Arkansas upsets, I pray this doesn't happen, but if they upset someone, they upset Tennessee, they upset someone down the road. Who's to say that he doesn't parlay that
here's the
into
contract.
full time? Yeah, I mean, just
Why
it's
not? Right?
it's
You're
amazing.
Arkansas. Let's be realistic.
Yep.
Like he had an embarrassing thing. What was that 10 years
Yeah.
ago? I mean, it's been several years ago with the moped accident and the blonde. But one of the best press conferences ever, by the way. Neck brace.
Yes.
But if you're Arkansas, and clearly, obviously, the Sam Pittman thing didn't work out. Good of the guy as he is, it just didn't work out. Like you can't just be okay with that forever, or else they'll, just go back to the Big 12. He probably should never left there anyway. Like, just this is not working out. If Petrino's your best bet, you're right. Hugh Freeze, that example. Hiring
Yep.
prostitutes. You know what? Auburn says,
Coaching it
ah,
up.
we don't care.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
well,
you beat
shit
Alabama?
about that. Yeah, that's all
Right.
I care about is beat it.
That's right.
And they damn near did it. I mean, the year Alabama
Yes.
went to the playoff and played Michigan in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that was a fourth and
Yes.
20 something from the 20 something yard line. They had to get there on fourth down to win it. I mean, they
In the
were
back
all
corner of the end zone, like
yes.
one of the most
Uh huh.
ridiculous plays in Bama history, I'm gathering,
Yep.
especially in that series. But yeah, that's yeah, I don't know though. Probably people are getting a little anxious for his seat to kind of get warmed up. Maybe if he doesn't start putting things together, sooner than later. Like, can only be so patient on the plains, and rightly so. When you see Bama doing well, going to the Rose Bowl, you know, possibly being in the playoff hunt, going to Georgia and winning.
Right. They
What's
get
Auburn's best win?
they get Georgia next week. They don't have a good win yet.
Yeah, no, they don't have one, right? Yeah,
But
yeah, they get
they
Georgia
get
next
Georgia
weekend,
next
right?
Saturday. Yeah. Yep.
So they have opportunity. Look at this Boise State Notre Dame over under 62 and a half. Now, which is funny because it's 20 and a half. Notre Dame's favored by. I think there's assuming that Notre Dame's not going to play any defense. Is that what I'm reading into?
Yeah, but no, Boise is not great on offense. I mean,
No, they're
62 and a
not.
half's a lot of points. You're saying that game just played in the 30s. I don't know how much Boise helps out on that, even though Notre Dame's secondary is not good. I
Right.
think Notre Dame rolls in this game. I don't know they cover the 20 and a half. I don't know that I would trust that, but
Yeah, not a.
I would
Yeah,
I would almost go under on that one right there, and if I was going to bet on it, because
it's a
I
lot of
think Notre Dame
points.
probably gets in the 30s, high 30s, and then Boise pitches in 20 points, and that stays in the 50s.
Right, and because Notre Dame maybe the field is simple enough, just we're just going to run the ball to your throat with
And they're going to run Love.
Jeremiah Smith, Jeremiah
Exactly.
Love. I
Yep.
mean, yeah,
Yep. They're going to
different
run
Jeremiah.
Love, and
Yeah, why not just run clock? Run. I mean, so there may not be tons of points put on the board if Notre Dame can just control the clock and do what they want to do offensively. That shortens the game. Long drives. You get 8-minute drives here and there, and that.
it
I
limits
think Notre Dame probably
possessions.
covered. It certainly does. Right,
Limits
exactly, and
possessions,
that's
though.
good or bad. It's good or bad. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you're going to win that game. But if you're a better, 62 and a half is. I agree with you. I'd take that under on that one. It may be like a 40-10 kind of game,
We've
40 to
not done this
13.
all year, Delaney, but we should probably be writing this stuff down. Not just Chris's stuff, but we should probably be writing our picks and everything down, our over unders, and actually seeing what hits, because we say them every week, and I'll be right. I'll be honest. I couldn't tell you if we hit any of that shit last week. I have no idea. No idea. Could tell.
Well,
Could tell you.
that's the good part. We'd have to have some of our viewers go back and put comments in there like, "You
Hold us
guys are
accountable.
fucking stupid. Like this is not even close." Right? Yeah, hold us accountable,
Yeah.
please. Right? Do you know what the podcast name is? Hell, if we know. I mean, we're telling you we don't know jack shit, but we're gonna try, and we're not gonna pretend we know any more than Herb Street. Certainly, probably more than Corso. I think that's fair, right? Is that fair?
That's
Probably more than
for sure.
Hannibal Lecter.
Well, that's what I was going to
Perhaps.
say. You said hold
Yeah.
us accountable. Don't hold us
Right.
cannibal. Let's make sure we're clear on what you said. Okay. Words matter.
Right. Yeah, we feel like multiple MIGs, well, these personalities, and we're, Jodie Foster's coming to see you, and the next thing you know, there's some strange substance thrown on her, and, the rest of the movie. Sorry, folks, I've had a cold all week. It's not helping me. You talk about a get right game, which
Whew.
we have to spend about 30 seconds on this. Penn State going to the Rose Bowl. Uh, sure, 24 and a half, that seems reasonable. UCLA is perhaps the worst Division One, if you will, college football team right now. They're without a coach. They're without anything that's interesting or you can compliment it on. There's just nothing. They don't do anything well on either
Yep.
side of the ball, and this is not going to change this week against. Even if Penn State's offense just decides to, Drew Aller throws left-handed, and they only run one play all game on offense, they'll probably
Yep.
still win that
Student body
game.
right the whole
Yeah,
game.
exactly. Right. Just hand the ball off to Singleton and and see what he can do. See how many yards he can put up. UCLA is going to put up a fight for about maybe 10 minutes. I don't mean 10 minutes of game time, clock time, like actual 10 minutes. This game will get ugly quickly, and you'll have a happy flight home because the game was going to start at what 12:30 local time, so they're home by supper, probably something like that. It's a 4-hour flight. Yeah, they'll be in home time to see their girlfriend and hang out, and look at film for Indiana, or look at Oregon film again. That would be painful. Maybe you should though.
Uh,
Yeah,
so I'm a karma guy. I believe in it.
yeah,
I believe you get what you deserve. I think have things that happen to you based on what decisions you make are in line with the stars, I guess. And this one just seems like Nico brought karma to UCLA. It just seems that way because and I'm not kept up with UCLA football at all the last 5 years.
you shouldn't.
Why
No one
would I?
has.
We don't
Even the
play in them.
UCLA fans don't.
Yeah. And
Right.
so, but it just seems like they have really regressed this year.
Yes.
And
Oh,
so
this is the worst they've ever been in our lifetime, I think. Yeah.
I think so. I really do.
Yes.
And
Maybe literally, actually. Yeah.
they're just that the roster's crap. They can't block. They can't run the ball. Nico's running for his life the whole time. And a small part of me feels sorry for the kid because of what his dad did to him. Because when you get down to brass tacks, his dad is what
Right.
happened to Nico. Nico didn't happen to Nico. Nico couldn't stand up to his dad when he should have been like, "Hey, I'm not going out there." He
Right.
could have, but that's just not what they do. There's, Samoan families are very tight, and they're not. Dad rules the roost, and you do what dad says. So, yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Now, some people might like to see a bloodbath. You know,
Yeah. This
they
guy,
might.
that guy.
They,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody
They
like to see
enjoy
a
it, in
bloodbath.
fact. Right.
Revel in it, one would say. Maybe even
Absolutely.
consume a little bit.
Right. Perhaps.
Maybe so. Yeah, I'm like you. Penn State rolls. It's going to be nasty. It's 50.5. I don't know that hits actually. I think Penn State can win by 25 or more, but that under
Yeah.
still hit because UCLA is not going to score. If
They're not
they
going to help
score
at all.
10 points, I'd be shocked.
That'd be a miracle. It
Seeing
took
Penn State,
Oregon 4 quarters to get 17 points.
right? So if
That's
they
a great
contribute
Oregon team.
anything, maybe a
Right.
three, maybe a field goal, maybe a
Yeah.
touchdown
A,
late
a
against
sloppy
the
late
scrubs.
field goal. Yeah. Right.
So now you're saying Penn State's going to score in the low 40s to hit that. I don't know they do. I'm like you. I think they run the ball, shorten the game, get the hell out of there on
Right.
a plane, and call it.
Right. Absolutely. Just let's get out of there healthy. It's a nice little trip to LA. Can we get there like early Friday so kids can go to Disney or I don't know. It's a nice trip to LA.
Yep.
That's about it.
Go to Malibu, see the pretty women.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because you got to go back to State College, which that has to be depressing. That's in the middle of nowhere and uninteresting. And yeah. All right. Well, we could talk about a game that will be hilarious, maybe.
6.5. That
Six
number
and a
is
half?
low, I think.
I mean like the incompetence of both teams may be on display. I am still not convinced Texas is worth a shit. We know Florida's not. We know Florida's the most dead man walking outside of maybe Madison, Wisconsin. Sark, is this his get right game? This is, a couple weeks ago you said, look, I believe Arch will put things together, get it right. This is the time to do it because they have Red River next weekend. So you don't be messing around against the Oklahoma defense trying to get right. That's not going to happen. Texas goes into Florida. What are your initial thoughts on this game and how do you think it'll flow?
I think if you load up the Miami versus Florida tape, all you need to do is take the Texas football team and put them right in place of Miami, and you're watching the same football game. That's what I think. I think the Florida defense will battle. I think they'll make life difficult on Arch. Hopefully the crowd shows up. Just for the record, our betting weekend really needs this football game.
Yeah,
Just
right.
saying, we really need this one. So I am, and you. I hope this doesn't get around to our local Florida fans and the Florida fan we know in particular.
Yes.
But it would not hurt my feelings at all to see Florida win this football game. I would love for that to happen because they're at home and the defensive battle. They'll make life tough. They're going to need
Yeah,
turnovers.
absolutely.
They're going to need Arch to throw them the football a few times to even have a
Right.
shot.
Right.
Someone knows something because 6.5 seems low compared to what these teams are playing.
Right.
But yeah, I think they make life difficult. I think the crowd shows up. It's a 3:30 kick, so it's a little bit of a prime time, middle afternoon, traditional CBS prime time.
Yep. Right.
And
Exactly.
I think they make it rough on Texas, but I could see it being, 10-6 Texas, and then 13-6 Texas, then 19-6, and then 20-6, and then 23, and then 23-9. It just going just like the Miami
Right.
game went. And by the end, they've covered, but the under is still way
But
under.
they were never in control. They were
Right.
never in contention of winning that actual game. And you watch that
Lagway,
game.
they
Yeah.
they will have to play. Lagway will have to have the game of his life for Florida even have a shot to win that in the second half, like to be even in the ball game second half. So we'll see. They've had off weeks, so they got a lot of planning they can do and soul searching and see what happens. But give me Texas, of course. I think they win this game. I think they cover that 6.5. I think the under hits on this as well, though, because I could see this being 31-10 31-6, 31-10, 27-10, and just pulling away, just like the Miami game, just exactly like that.
Yeah, the difference in this game, I think, is the Texas defense because we know the Florida defense, like you said, are going to put up a fight. They have some good players. They're playing way better than they have oddly the previous few years. They just can't. They're just so inept on offense. They can't move the ball. They can't put the ball in the end zone. They can't not turn the ball over. So when you face a Texas defense is just as good as anyone else they played this year, including Miami, like you said, they're going to struggle to score points. My thing is, I don't believe in Texas still. Yeah, I don't believe in Arch yet. And we saw them uh, go into Columbus and lay a huge egg. Now, in fairness, that's a great Ohio State defense, right? And Texas squandered a few points there, going for it and forth, and could kick some field goals. Until they show me otherwise, I don't like them to cover that 6.5. Texas, that is. I think this game is really close. I like Texas to win this game, but like something 16-13. That under hits way under, and it's kind of an ugly, sloppy game. Maybe some back and forth turnovers. Florida covers, but it's another game like you said. They don't feel like they have a real shot to win. Like it's every time the Florida gets the ball on offense, it's painful to watch. It's very difficult to move the ball for 2 or 3 yards. Like it's nothing comes easy. There's no explosives. There's nothing like that. So I don't anticipate that'll change against a good Texas defense.
You would rather have someone cut off a limb and eat it than watch the Florida offense play football
Yes,
Saturday.
absolutely. Right. Right.
Just throwing that out there. Little
Absolutely.
analogy.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't know where you got that from. That's strange. You brought that from.
I don't know where I keep coming up with them. I think I'm gonna run out eventually.
That's strange. Yeah, probably not. Virginia, the big Virginia Cavaliers. Let's see how they do coming off a huge win against Florida State last Friday. They get to go back to reality and travel to Louisville, Kentucky, which is not going to have as many eyes on them in that Friday night game. ESPN 2 games is not quite as charming as ESPN on a Friday night. You're the sole game on. Um, who knows? Like, would it be surprising to see Louisville win that game?
We'll
Not
pick Louisville.
really. I agree.
We'll
They're,
pick them.
they're a solid football team. Like,
I am. I'm picking Louisville. Give me the
I hope
cards in
that
this one.
I hope
I
that game is. Yeah,
I think.
I just hope the over hits just for
Oh, I
fun
think
because
I think that's a
something we'll
pretty
be
good
able to
bet.
watch this. Yeah.
I think that's a good bet, Delaney. I think that Virginia. Lou Holtz said years ago, and I've repeated this I don't know how many times. You never get the same football team twice. Your team changes every weekend, and I think that emotional game last Friday night beats Virginia this Saturday. I think it's just going to be really hard for them to play with that type of intensity and emotion too. How many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen a team play with intensity, emotion, play a clean, flawless football game, and win a game that's hard fought, and then come the next weekend and not even be the same team, like not
Right.
not
No.
be the
Yeah. To lay
same.
a complete egg.
Yes,
Right.
and get beat.
Right.
This is perfect. This
This
give
is
me
like
Louisville in this one.
maybe a perfect example. Yeah.
Yep.
Louisville. What do they call it? 6.5. I'm not sure. No, but I like the over. I like Louisville to win as well.
Well,
Straight
that's
up.
another thing. I didn't even notice that. You're right. They're -6.5. Coin flip, you get 3 points at home.
Right.
This
Right.
is a touchdown and an extra point better, is what they're saying in the desert.
Right.
Just saying. I love Louisville this game.
I do too. I do too. It'd be interesting to watch just because we've seen this so many times watching games over the last 40, 50 years of our lives. This is the perfect example of how that probably will play out. Uh, whoever thought that you'd utter the words "big game, Vanderbilt going down to T-Town"? I look, you're late 40s. I'm almost 50. In our lifetimes, and you could answer this better than I could, has Vanderbilt ever been more relevant than they have been last year and this year to this point?
The James Franklin Vandy teams
I
were
think,
pretty good.
yeah,
Those teams won 9 games and went bowling. So yeah, they've been that good. It's been a while, but Diego Pavia is the engine that makes that whole thing go.
absolutely.
College game day. because of the Georgia loss, decided to go to no, because of the Florida State loss. Sorry, because
Florida
Florida
State, right?
State
Yeah,
got beat by
right.
Virginia, they decided not to go to Tallahassee, which is crazy for that
Right.
game, and go to Alabama Vanderbilt. Now, one might ask, when has Vanderbilt ever been on College Game Day? Well,
It has to
lucky
be
for
a
you guys,
zero, right?
I've got nope.
Really?
2008 versus Auburn in Nashville, and they won the
Okay.
game 14-13.
Oh, well, I
Bull
stand
Nuggets.
corrected.
How about that?
How about
So,
that?
give me Bama in this game.
Yes,
give,
yes,
give me
right,
Bama this
right.
game. I
I'm a big Diego Pava fan.
I am too.
However, you're not going to beat Bama 2 years in a row. You're not sneaking up on them. They just went into Athens, Georgia, and beat a really, really good Georgia team. Hasn't lost home since 2019. Um, Look, what you just said about the Virginia Louisville game may be true. You never get the same team twice, 2 weeks. Or if it's going to be, if there's ever teams going to be the same, it's going to be Alabama, and they're certainly going to be more talented, across the line of scrimmage and the skill guys than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt may win this game. I'd be very surprised. I like Alabama to win that game. I think they probably cover that 10.5. I don't think it's going to be a blowout necessarily, but they win somewhat comfortably. Maybe it's a 17-point win that they get a late field goal or touchdown to kind of just salt it away. Vanderbilt will hang in as long as they can, but eventually you're going to run out of steam, like talent wise. You're Ryan Williams or Jam Miller. Some of those guys going to make a big play, and just kind of put this game away, I feel.
The difference, and people might ask, well, how is that not hypocrisy for what you just said, Chris? You turn right around and say that about Alabama winning after they just come off Georgia, and I'll tell you the reason. Here's the reasoning. Virginia was a big underdog in that game last Friday night. Virginia played over their head against someone that everyone thought Florida State. Everyone's looking forward to Florida State, Miami. Florida State's way better. They had beat Alabama already. That took every ounce of emotion, the rush in the field, out of Virginia, and you can't summons that 2 weekends in a row. Alabama is not. They wasn't a big underdog to Georgia. They look at Georgia as their equal. They're
They would
supposed to be
expect
out
to go
there.
and win that game.
We
They're supposed
expect
to
to
win.
come into Sanford and win. Absolutely, they expect to go in there and win that game. It's a whole different mindset. It's not so much emotional as it is businesslike. Of course, it's emotional at the end because
Right,
it's a football game, but it's
right.
just not the same type of when you're on the field and playing. It's not the same. It's workmanlike for Alabama, whereas it's Virginia is holy shit. We're about to beat up FSU. It's a totally different thing. So that's why I'm like you. I think Alabama uses Georgia to springboard into beating Vanderbilt and being a really good football team probably the rest of the year. But I'm like you. I think Diego
Absolutely.
Pavia rings the bell. I think they hang in there. I think they land punches. And then I think Alabama probably pulls away. I think the over hits the 55.5 because I could easily see this game being in the low 30s, high 20s, and low 30s, mid 30s for Bama, and then high 20s for Vandy. And yeah, I just think that I think Alabama's. I didn't believe it. I think they found themselves. I think they're going to.
Yeah,
I think they're going to get it done here, and they're going to turn out to be really, really good. I think they're a playoff team, and
absolutely.
you don't want to deal with them. Ty Simpson's playing at a high level. They run the ball.
He is.
Ryan Williams is excellent. Their defense, still need work.
It's gettable, but yeah,
Yes,
it's okay for now. But I mean, they did pretty well on the road last weekend against what we thought was a solid Georgia offense. I don't think it's an elite Georgia offense by any means, but they made it look somewhat pedestrian by and large. Although Bama's offense, they didn't score the second half. They put up 24 points the first half, and then he couldn't do anything. So,
it took Kirby a
you
whole
know,
half to figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then once he got it figured out,
right,
Georgia got stops.
right, yeah, and then just couldn't put enough. They couldn't
Right.
put enough points on the board to
Yep.
go ahead. Although they made some dumb penalties late, including the 15-yard penalty jumping over the pile on the third. It's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing that? Like, what are you expected to play? How that play's going to play out. So, all
He
right.
ran and
Well,
jumped on that pile. He ran and jumped on that pile like someone was chasing him with a knife threatening to cut him open and eat his liver. That's how he
Absolutely.
jumped on that pile.
Or like if you if it's fall this time of year, you run and you jump in a pile of leaves to hide from a guy in a hockey mask and a knife, something like that.
That's
Just a thought. Like he had half a hockey mask, I guess. Lecter did. Yeah. All right, Oklahoma with or without John Mateer. John
roll
Mateer can play left-handed. They'll handle Kent State. Texas Tech. Houston's
dangerous.
a pretty good football team. That's a little dangerous.
It is
They're going to be
dangerous.
ready for that in Houston. Like that's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock local time game. I'm just so impressed with seeing Texas Tech go into Utah and win that game. I have a hard time believing they'll stumble in Houston.
Yep, with you. Yeah, if you're good enough to go to Utah and win, you're plenty good enough to go to Houston and win. So yeah,
Yeah,
give
right.
me Texas Tech. I'm with you.
Agreed. All right, 2 games left to talk about. I think, I guess actually three. Minnesota, Ohio State. Not a lot to talk about there. Ohio State goes out to Washington. I think gets a pretty good win. They showed defensively that they are, I'd say, elite. What they did to Texas, what they did to a Washington team that seems to be very talented. The time will tell if Washington was just playing, cupcakes and kind of running up the score and those kinds of things. Ohio State wins this game very comfortably. Minnesota is not going to be able to compete with them. I would be surprised if this game's over by halftime, frankly. Say what you will about Julian Saint. He's not CJ Stroud, you know, Cardell Jones or anyone like that, but he's a solid quarterback. He can play well. They're bringing him on slowly, and they're doing a good job. He had a nice stat line. He was like only had 22, 26 last weekend. They're not asking him to do a lot of things, right? What do you have to do? Well, you throw the ball to your wide receivers that are going to play in the next level, and one of which may
All
be
three of them.
one of the best wide receivers in college football. Yeah, all
Number
three of
one
them.
pick this
One of
year.
which college
He could be.
exactly
He come if he
right.
could
He
come
could be
out.
absolutely could have been last year. Yeah.
Uh
So
huh.
Jeremiah Smith, throw the ball to him when in doubt. Or if he's not around, Carnell Tate's going to be in the first round pick, and Brandon Ennis may not be too far around away either. And then they have a great tight end to throw the ball to. They're trying to figure out they're running the ball okay. I think they can probably improve on that a little bit, but it's early in the season still, and they're taking care of business. They're beating teams they should. They're beating up on teams that I didn't anticipate them winning that game comfortably against Washington. So they win this game comfortably and probably put it away early.
Ohio State, best defense in the country.
I think the only
Yeah, they.
team, I'd say Oklahoma's right there. I like Oklahoma's defensive line a little better, but Ohio State's secondary is just so talented, so
Sticky.
veteran, sticky, right? And they're physical. Like Igbinosun is this year he's been better, but like he's known to be in your grill. I think he had one of the most uh, DPIs last year. Like he was in your grill all the time. And you get a pass interference once in a while, sure, but they can't call it every single time. That's how some teams play. Like just man up, play physical, and they do that. They have good linebackers. Their interior defensive line is excellent, and when you can do that, you can control the line of scrimmage. Again, you're going to do really well. You're going to keep your team in your offense, who is a little green at quarterback and at running back. You're going to keep them in the game and not ask them to do too many things, especially if you can give them the ball in short field as well. So, yeah, I'd say Ohio State's not the best defense in the country. Then they're 1A or one
Three,
B,
right?
like
Yeah,
right
right. Yeah,
there.
top
Top
two,
three
top
for
three.
sure, right?
Yep.
I'd say you got LSU, Oklahoma, perhaps Miami and Florida, Ohio State, all right there. Where you put each one of them, I probably wouldn't argue too much about it, but Ohio State's not going to be worse than three.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you can make an argument they're the best unit in the country. I don't know
Hmm.
where the weakness is. There isn't one. They do everything
They,
at an elite
they are
level. Everything.
right. They don't rush the passer as well as they did the previous few years, but when you control when your tackles are so good that you can control the line of scrimmage, it's a little like Michigan last year. They had, you know, best defensive tackles in the country, right? As a combo with Graham and Grant. And when you can control the running game with your D tackles and your edges can set the edge and get some pass rush, you're gonna cook. You're gonna have a really good defense, and that's where they're at right now. Like they're getting some pressure off the edges because they got some young guys there, but their interior linemen is just just lights out. I mean, they're right there with Oklahoma's defensive line. I think overall, was their production at least certainly.
Yeah,
I,
they certainly eat
I've never
quarterbacks.
impressed them. They eat them
They
up.
sure do.
Absolutely.
They flat eat
Brain,
quarterbacks.
brains first. Like probably a guy that was that was that Ray Liotta? Is it?
Yes. That was what? Was that Red Dragon? No, 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 it
That
wasn't
was
Red
Red. That
Dragon.
was no.
What was
That
that?
was Hannibal.
Yes, that's
Hannibal.
it. Hannibal.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
There you
right,
go.
right. Hannibal. All right, two more games to talk about. Two. I think we'll be watching these games, flipping back and forth. Probably not so much Ohio State Minnesota game, not much to watch. But Miami, Florida State, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Which one do you want to talk about first? I'll let you
We'll
go.
do. Yeah, we got to save Miami and Florida State for last. So yeah,
Yeah.
you got to go.
Okay.
And I don't know this game will be as good as what people are trying to hype it up to be.
Yeah. Maybe not. Right. I mean, it's Texas A&M, right? If I told you that Texas A&M comes out and displays incredible, puts up 40 points like they did against Notre Dame, or if they came out and struggled to score 13, 16 like they did against Auburn, would you be surprised with either outcome?
Neither one would surprise me. Yep, neither one. That line though tells me that they think Mississippi State's going to be hung over from last Saturday, and Mississippi State is their tackles have problems. Mississippi State can, or A&M can rush the passer pretty decent. So I think Marcel Reed has a big game. I think they roll. I think they cover that 14 and a half. I think that 55 goes over because I think Mississippi State will move the ball too. Strader's a good quarterback.
Sure.
Jeff Levy's going to call
Yeah.
good plays. So I think the 55 and a half hits, but I think A&M rolls. I think they take care of business. I think A&M has turned a corner. This is an A&M. This is a game they lose the last couple years on a
Sure.
roll,
Absolutely.
winning, and then drop a game like what the hell are you doing? But I don't think they do
Right.
Saturday.
No, I agree. Um, I'm just impressed with what Mississippi State's done so far. And maybe the magic's starting to wear off, right? I mean, after so many times, I mean, you win that Arizona State game and you have every opportunity to win that Tennessee game, and it just sort of gets snatched from you because you're not quite as talented. You don't make quite the right play calls. And that's even with Josh Heupel making some just the head scratching us like, what are you doing? Time management things too. But if you want to show like, no, 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 we're a good football team. We're going to go into College Station and compete and maybe win this game. This is a good opportunity because as good as A&M is, they're not Alabama or Georgia more talented than Mississippi State, right? I mean, on the margins, they're probably pretty close. Reed and Carver, the wide receiver, like that's going to be the difference right there. You saw what Tennessee's able to do with Brazel and those wide receivers and Joey touchdown. Like I anticipate that'll be amped up more. College Station's a tough place to play. It's at night. I'm guessing
Loud.
Mike Elko understands that Jeff Levy's a good football coach, and this is a good football Mississippi State team. They're not the last couple of years like they were a joke program the last few years. They're not going to be surprised by them. I like Texas A&M to win this game. They cover that 14 and a half. It may be like a close to that, but I think they win probably comfortably. But it's a solid game for most of the game too. I just don't see A&M just blowing the doors off right away and just making it a non-game early.
No, yeah, I think Mississippi State rings the bell. I do, especially like I said, especially early. I do, but I think as it goes along, Reed and like I say Carver and those guys are gonna kind of take over. But I like this 30, like 31-21, 35-27, 38-27. I think there's points scored, but I think Mississippi State goes over the 55, and I think A&M covers that 15 too. I think they win by that.
Think, yeah, that seems fair. This is a like, all right, A&M, are you for real or are you still like kind of pretender? You can't beat Alabama one week and then lose to a solid to mediocre Mississippi State team next week. I mean, they didn't beat Alabama this year, but like that's who they've been in the
Right.
past our lifetime. This is a chance to
Yep.
show you're turning the corner. We're not going
This
to
is
drop this
certainly a
game we
game
shouldn't
A&M's
drop.
dropped many years in a row,
Yeah,
for a lot of years, no matter who's
favored by
coaching.
two
They
touchdowns.
figure out a way
Absolutely.
to lose a game like this.
Right. So if they can do this, then that's Yeah, I mean, this is like for me personally, like, okay, prove that you're legit. Even a win here is probably, even a 3-point win is probably like, okay, well, they figured out a way to win this game. They oftentimes would lose in the past. So a win is a win, I suppose, in the SEC. If you're Mississippi State and you somehow go in there and sneak out a win, because you said, look, we can compete. We beat Arizona State. We can compete with Tennessee down to the wire. That's a good football team. The Tennessee's is a better football team than A&M. They're more talented, generally speaking, I think. There's no reason Mississippi State couldn't play there, but you got 19 to 23-year-olds going on the road after a tough loss. It's a crazy night game. It's loud as hell. The people are weird there. Just so many things against you. I mean, I pulled for Mississippi State just
I'd love to
because
see him win
it's
it.
a good story. It'd be
I'm here for it.
hilarious
Yep.
and it's entertaining for us, frankly. Um, I'd be quite surprised.
Yeah, no, I said, yeah. Give me NM. I think the offense
Yep.
gets right.
Yep. All right, the big game of the weekend, which lost a little luster thanks to Florida State laying an egg in Charlottesville, Virginia last Friday, um, which was, selfishly disappointing. We were looking forward to this it's still a big game, but like, it still lost its luster a little bit. Even if you're a Miami fan, like, man, you guys suck. Can you just win can't you beat Virginia for once? Every 30 years, every 15 years, 20 years, you got to get beat by Virginia.
Figure
This
out a
is
way
the
to lose
eve
that
of
game.
the Miami game, right? Both teams, both programs have been like just barely above water. Florida State was abysmal last year. Mike Norvell on the edge of like just being axed from college football uh, last year has turned it around. They've made upgrades at quarterback and the line of scrimmage and this Deuce Robinson kid that they stole from they got from USC, which is crazy to think if he was out there at USC with Lemon and those guys. Get grief, that offense.
What it
Not
could
to
have
mention
been with
Kyron Hudson went to
Branch.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Get grief, Branch. Not a footballs, I guess, is what it goes around to. Not a footballs and money in Westwood to cover that. Um, but then you have Miami, who's just been like, meh, kind of they have games where like, oh, they play pretty well. You won that. And then Cristobal loses a game because he doesn't know how to kneel. Runs the ball, they fumble, and they lose that game. Like just things like that. Miami's just been kind of like an afterthought for quite a while now, right? I mean, most of the time they're last year they had Cam Ward, the best quarterback in the country, and they still couldn't quite get over the hump on these games that they shouldn't. That they couldn't play in defense, which is odd because this year they've
They're very,
more or
yeah,
less fixed that.
they
Very
have
good
upgraded.
defensively. Yeah. But you got to go to Tallahassee, and that's, a difficult place to play. That place is going to be rocking, whether Florida State won or lost that Virginia game. This place is going to be a circus. Um, it's at night. It's the ABC ESPN game with Fowler and Herb Street. This is tough because we saw Florida State beat what turns out to be a pretty good Alabama team at home. Then they go on the road and voodoo happens in Charlottesville. They get beat by Virginia in overtime. I just don't know what to think about this Florida State team.
Well,
However, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, just a quick one. If Florida State beats Virginia last Friday night, is that plus 4.5 a minus points? Maybe
It
not
might
four
have
and a half
flipped.
this week.
Maybe two
I
and a
think
half,
so
three,
too.
something like yeah, right, right.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it's
You get the
and
three for home field, right?
right. And you talk about Norvell. You talk about a guy that everyone was ready to run out of Tallahassee, and then he beats Alabama, and everyone loves him. You go three and
Right.
two now with
We're
that kind
back
of
to where we
start.
were.
Now it's all of a sudden here comes the chirpers again.
Yep. You especially you're losing to Miami. Like this is an opportunity for one of these programs to say we're going to run this state because Miami's already beat Florida. Florida State plays Florida late in the year, right? Last game of the year. This is an opportunity for Miami to say, look, we run this state. We're a better football program right now. We're ahead of where Florida State is, and certainly Florida is. Although Miami just struggling to put the ball in the end zone against Florida gives me some pause, right? Like I know that's a good Florida defense. Perhaps they're equal or maybe better than Florida State. It's hard to compare that, I suppose. Um, Yeah, I'm just not sure which way I'll lean here, honestly.
Well, college football is better when these two are good, like
100%.
all
Everyone
around.
can agree on that, I think, right?
Yes, yeah. It's just better when Miami, Florida State are good, and there's some good old fashioned hate in that game.
Yes, right. We
That's
want a
when it's
fight. I want
good.
a fight.
Yeah.
I want to see
Don't be
that
surprised you get one.
pregame, an hour before the game. An hour before the game, I want to see that there's people separating the two
Yeah,
teams,
I hope so.
and there's punches flown or not, but like a lot of John, a lot of like yapping at least. Like they have to be separated. That's what you want to see. That hate is back, and it's like okay, college football's right now.
And I want to see Miami walking over to the logo and walking over top of it.
He's
I want to
stomping,
see that.
right?
Yes, I want to see all that. I want to see them
Right.
carving up that logo, carving up the
Yeah.
face
Right.
of that Seminole on
Right.
the 50-yard
Yes.
line. Right?
Right.
I don't know where I
And
get
put
these
that
thoughts
Seminole.
and put it on their
Would you say they could put
faces.
that on the face? Right. Exactly. Right.
Yes,
And tell
yes,
Jim
yeah.
Pembry, it's Jim Pembry, damn
So I
it.
I will go ahead and take Miami in this game, and I will take Miami because I think Carson Beck makes enough plays to get it done. I think the Miami defense is like we were just talking about is a top 2 or 3 unit in the country,
Hmm.
which is amazing to say considering what happened last year to that unit. They're
Yeah.
easily top 5. Like you can
Oh,
make an
easily,
argument top
absolutely.
3.
That's not even arguable.
You
Right.
can't make an argument below top 5. They are a top 5
Mm.
unit in the country. They're way better than what Virginia's unit is as far as defensively.
Absolutely.
They're going to get stops. They're going to get after Castellanos, and they may force turnovers because he will throw the other team the football,
He's
put us
not
under
afraid to throw.
pressure.
Yes, he's not afraid to do that. Yes.
And I think Miami goes in there wins. Um, I think they'll probably cover the 4.5. I think they could. I think they could win this by 7 to 10 points. Especially when you fight if Castellanos turns the ball over, they're going to win by a lot.
Hmm.
Especially if it's on the plus side of the field.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know that I
Because
would
that's one
touch that
thing.
53.5 though.
That's a high number,
That's
right?
high. Yeah, I think this game gets
That's
played in the
pretty high.
20s by Miami, and in the teens or the low 20s by Florida State. And give me Miami.
Yeah. I don't know what the forecast is for weather. So if it's going to be a sloppy, rainy thing, that might limit some of that 53 and a half too. To me, this game's kind of a pick 'em because as much as I like Miami, they're playing well. Going into Doak, it's tough to play. I don't care, other than maybe last year, but like I'm inclined to pick Miami as well. Better quarterback play typically with better defense will typically win you most games, and I think this one would probably be true there. So, yeah, I like Miami to win this game, and I think they probably cover that 4.5 too. That's not a big number that I'm thinking that they couldn't do like a 24-13 kind of win, 24-17, 24-19, something like that. I think that's a reasonable. I also agree that the under is going to hit on this. I'd be surprised if both teams just light it up. Because Miami has struggled to move the ball a little bit against good defenses. They have.
I'm not sold. Florida
That might
State's
be like a
defensive's not. I don't know how good they are. I mean, they played well against Bama. We'll
yeah,
see how Bama is, but then they turn around and they let Morris do whatever he wanted to do last Friday night.
absolutely 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing and a passing. Like yeah, that's road game or not. That was a tough. If your defense travels, well then they stayed the hell home. Apparently,
They sure did. They were locked down in like a well in the basement of
yes,
a
yes.
house and wanting some lotion to put on its skin.
Did the guy yell at him to put the lotion on?
Probably, yeah. While holding
Probably. Yeah.
yeah, yep. While holding a spear, yeah. and a dog and a spear.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes someone comes to the door and asks for James Gum, and you're just like, I don't know, I don't know who that is. Was that Frederica Bim? Was she a great big fat person? So if you're asking if there's a big fat person playing, by the way, the greatest question in the history of movie cinema. Sure, a great big fat person. Oh fuck. Okay, so Miami wins this game. I think they cover the 4.5. Whether you do or
with you.
not doesn't matter. Um, Again, good games. Hopefully, good weather. Hopefully, there's some nastiness, and it's like 1980s, 1990s Florida State, Miami. That's what we want to see. Perhaps an ejection,
Yes,
you
here
know,
for it.
whatever. No one gets hurt, but an ejection, both sides, as long as it's just scrubs. We don't want like, you know, quarterbacks to get tossed or something like that, or some good players, just because we
So,
want to watch this and be entertained.
right.
Are you not
After
entertained?
yeah,
I want to be entertained.
after after last weekend, the games that we had last weekend, this weekend seems very watered down. And
Yes, it
compared to
does.
last weekend, it is. But how many times have we seen
Absolutely.
that after a big weekend, and this is kind of a ho hum weekend, when shit
Right.
hits the fan, it hits the
Right. Right.
people get upset, big upsets happen, barn burner
Right.
football games, and before you know it, you leave the weekend like, holy cow, that was a really good
That was
bunch of
amazing.
games, and you
Right.
didn't expect it going in.
Right. And look, you and I both would be like watch watching Florida State, go in dry on Miami, and Mississippi State just take care of business against A&M. Hell, even seeing Minnesota make it interesting in Columbus.
All
I,
right. Yeah, I'm here for it.
please, please, I want to be entertained because what Tennessee's idle, all
Yep.
right, this weekend.
Yep.
Michigan
Michigan has
plays
a.
at Wisconsin team. They should play. They play at 11 a.m. Central noon kickoff time in Ann
You're
Arbor.
still gonna be throwing stuff
So
though.
I went to listen. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right, right. If they're not going to run the touchdown play every time, I'm going to get pissed. If you're not going to
Yeah.
stop, if you're not going to play defense and shut out everyone, and they have negative yards, total yards, in all categories, then yeah, you're not playing very well. Seems pretty simple to me. I
So
don't
it
know.
should be a
Maybe I
cruise
have
control
expectations too
game,
high.
maybe just
Yeah.
maybe it's a tick high for sure. But I could see the first down by Wisconsin that they run the balls, off tackle and pick up 10, and you're just going
Right.
bananas for a run defense, and things get
Yeah.
thrown.
Game over.
Yeah, game over. Make them tear the place down, make it to a parking lot. So
Yep. Season's over. Put a goddamn uh, Spirit Halloween up there in
yes,
stadium. Have some more Luke Bryan concerts,
yeah,
whatever it was last weekend.
they
Yeah,
packed that
that seems
place.
fair.
And it was
120,000
was
people.
Zach Bryan, right? Was Zach Bryan? No,
Or Zach, yeah, Zach Bryan. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think it
I
was Zach
said I
Bryan. I
don't
think I
know
seen
either.
that.
Some Luke, Zach,
Yeah,
some country guy. I think I'm not
right.
sure. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Zach Bryan. Okay,
One of
I would
those.
have lost money on that bet. I
One,
don't. Some
one of
dude,
those.
some white guy country singer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Want to do
Well,
some
so
picks?
what do we have in store? Because Chris's picks are here, and he's a little concerned that we're going to continue not making money. So again, every week Chris goes through his picks SEC home teams because statistically over the last handful of years they've won at about a 70% clip. So we're going to see if that holds true this year. And so far it kind of does. It holds true about the winning percentage, but if you want to make money, money line's not the way to do it. Like if you want to make big money, if you want to make a few dollars, knock yourself out. But
Right.
so last week we were 4-3, which is pretty good when you're doing
Yeah.
picks, right? But we haven't hit any like major upsets where you can hit a big win, a big cash win, if you will. Mostly it's like you bet $20 to win 21, win a dollar or whatever. So what do we got this week? I know we got Texas at Florida. That's a game that it's like, well, let's see how
Well,
this one goes. That's
that is a
dicey.
nice, crisp C note if you win that $100 bill.
Ah,
$100.50 actually is the return on that if it hits, if a UF beats Texas.
that's righteous
We need
books.
that
Yeah.
win, Delaney. We need it for
Yes.
we started with $147. We are clocking in at 122.44, which makes us negative
Vegas.
$24.56. 21
Right.
and 7 on the year. That's a 75% winning percentage, but we're underwater because of, like you just said, the wins, the returns on the wins don't offset the losses. And so we need upsets to happen on home fields to be able to do that. This week is the 122.44. There's only 4 games you can bet on for home teams this
Okay.
weekend. So we went $30 a game for $120 total. We got UG over UK, which we both agree. You win
Yeah.
$1.50 if you win that game, by
I
the
was
way.
saying you ain't gonna win much. Okay. Yeah. Right. Right.
Bama over Vandy, you win $7.79 if you win that one.
Okay,
Right. UF over
that's not
Texas,
much.
you win $70.50 if you win that one.
Okay,
And then
okay,
Texas A&M over Mississippi State, you win a whopping $5. So we could go four and
$5.
three.
Okay,
We could go four and
and
one or
and
3 and 1.
then
Yep.
not do anything, basically.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. And not win
Right.
anything. You could go you go 3 and 1, win 75% of the games, and lose money. So seems to be the track. This is the halfway point. This is week 6.
This is
It's
yeah,
it
right.
seems to be trending that way. We're still looking for our big upset to put us up, and we've not hit it yet. Maybe we hit it Saturday. Wouldn't hurt my feelings, even though watching
That
Florida
would be a good
lose
time.
always amuses me. But wouldn't mind a 4-0 weekend this weekend. That would really help out
We could
the old bank account.
absolutely, yeah. And there's like games that they're not even bettable, like Kent State at Oklahoma. That's not even a
I
line that you
couldn't
can
touch it.
do anything with, for example,
Couldn't
right?
touch
And
it.
so
Nope.
there'll be less of those games, because the non-conference games against the Oklahomas and Tennessee has a game with whatever Mercer somewhere late in the season, but
Late in the season, yep.
most of these games are going to be betting on handful of games each week. This is just a bit of an anomaly. So, but like you said, if we hit one, we hit the Florida game. Let's now we're
And
back in business.
that's what we're after, right? Is that one big upset that seems to happen every year? Is one
Yeah,
upset
absolutely.
where a highly ranked team goes into an unranked team home field and they drop that ball game, and that will put us well above water to be able to sustain that the rest of the year theoretically, because just for the people, the whole bank account goes into the games. So we're not trying to make money here for the end of the year. This is an experiment. Every
Right.
dollar we win goes into the next round of games the next weekend that I can bet on. It gets divided by how much money's in there, divided by how many games, and that's what I do. It just left over, this week left $2.44. I wasn't trying to divide that 4 ways to make that work. So I round it and I go. So
Close enough. Yeah. Right. All right. Well, maybe this is the weekend it finally hits. You're right. Like, but hey, what this shows you is that if nothing else, like you shouldn't gamble on the money line, even if you're betting like home field advantage that wins at 70 to 80% clip, unless you just want to make a dollar here and there. Like if you
right.
want to try to win money, you're gonna have to try the over under or
So
the
far,
spread.
now I said again, we're at the halfway point. It's a long season. We got 6, 7 more weeks to go. So anything can happen between now. A lot of football to be played. And we seem to be hovering right around. We either go plus or minus 20, $30 where we started. We were up and then we come down. And then we were up, then we come down. And then we were up going in last weekend. Now we're down. So let's keep reinvesting it and see what happens at the end of the
Absolutely,
year. That's what we're doing.
absolutely. And what we're gonna do with that money at the end of the year? I don't know.
Buy Pappy.
Buy Pappy. Yeah, Pappy. Right. Yes. Not just a shot, like a whole bottle.
No,
Is what your
no, I
goal
was
is,
talking about
right?
a shot.
Okay.
Well, I have enough money probably for a
Oh,
shot
okay.
or two. Yeah, yeah, like a pour each,
Yeah.
and that's going to be about it.
Fair enough. Okay, like an ounce and a half. I get you.
Yep.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
a
Well,
nice
I guess it's
Chianti
better expectations.
for this
Yeah.
guy, for my boy back here.
Yes, of course. You know what? I'm gonna order some extra thing of lamb chops, medium
Yes.
rare.
We should eat those during the show with this guy hiding behind a
Yes, we
bush
should. Oh,
somewhere in the room.
Jesus. Right.
It'd just be,
Right. Right. He's gonna go see an old friend, have dinner with an old friend. So
uh-huh,
is that how it goes?
yes,
All right, folks. Well, this is Health We Know. That's Chris. I'm Brian. That's Hannibal Lecter. He he's our mascot for the rest of the month. He's our friend. He's going to do some pick'ems with us. You never know what you're going to get here because, again, we don't know. You don't know. Lecter knows.
he does. If anyone here out of the
He
three of
knows.
us has an idea of what's going to be happening, it's this dude right here over my shoulder. He's the one.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So we'll be coming to you together on Sunday, reviewing the games that will happen Saturday because we're going to be hanging out this weekend. And then we'll do a preview for the next week's games as well, next week as well. So look forward to that. Thanks for joining us. Share the show. if you like it. If not, share it anyway. Um,
Just hit
Ken,
hit the like
Chris,
button, share,
just hit the like
Spotify.
button, right? Is that what you're
Yep.
supposed to do? Right. Spotify,
YouTube.
whatever you want to watch on. We're on YouTube, whatever. If you want to watch clips, go on to TikTok, whatever,
We're
Instagram,
on
whatever your
Instagram.
fancy is.
You can
Yeah.
find the whole
All
show
the major
on the
ones.
Facebook page. The whole show we load up on the Facebook
Yes.
page. So
Yep. And the YouTube and Spotify. So
yes,
all those
yep.
places you can find the whole show. So pick one. We don't care. Just pick it, enjoy it, and share it, or whatever. All right, folks. That was a good show. We got some hopefully good games to watch. Doesn't matter. We'll be filling these up,
Yes,
emptying
we will.
these regularly, and
Which will
doing
happen
some games.
faster
So you
to fill
enjoy
up
it
or they
too.
empty it.
Well,
What's
I
the
get a lot of bottles.
what's the
Over
over
under.
under on the pours?
Individually
Take-
or
No, collectively.
take the over, folks.
Take the
Collectively.
over.
Okay, so
That's way safer.
Let's see.
That's way
Let's say
safer than
it's-
75% for sure.
absolutely. So Chris is going to arrive at, let's say, roughly 3 p.m. Central Time, right? Give or take, right? This is nice. By the time midnight rolls around, between the two of us, I'm thinking it's double-digit pours. And that includes like an old fashioned in there, which, a couple of nice solid ounces as well. So I think that's fair. 4,
And we
5,
will
6
be-
each.
We'll be pouring with our hearts too, folks.
Yes,
Sure.
right. Yes, there's not a measurement thing. It's just, although I'm pretty good at like pouring, I can hit like 2 ounces really well. I wanted to, like, I don't know if it's just a muscle memory or what, but it's shit funny. Like, I measure it out, like, I'm pretty good at this.
And it doesn't matter the glass.
Cool.
I'm pretty decent too. In a little snifter
Absolutely.
glass like you have there, I know the level. I know the level. In a big regular bourbon glass, I know the level.
It's
I've got
funny,
a
like,
little
it's just
baby
your
one.
brain's
It's
just
just-
tick, tick, tick.
The glugga gluggas. The glugga gluggas. You know how many glugga gluggas you got to do. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your week. Talk to you soon.
Have a great weekend.